Last summer, I was standing at a backyard barbecue, holding a paper plate, when a retired mechanic named Dave cornered me by the cooler. 66 years old, hands like sandpaper. And he says to me, "Look, I don't need to be rich. I just want 10 grand a month coming in so I can stop doing math in my head at 2 in the morning." And I said, "Okay, Dave, where's that 10,000 supposed to come from?" He pulls out his phone, shows me one number, one account, his 401k. And right there was the mistake almost every retiree makes. He was trying to get one single account to do 7 different jobs. He wanted one block to hold up the whole roof. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Smart retirees almost never build their income from one giant pile of money. They build something I call the retirement paycheck stack. Picture it like blocks stacked on top of each other. One block alone is wobbly. But Social Security, a pension, some rental income, a little from dividends, a cash cushion, maybe an annuity, and then the portfolio. Stack those together, and suddenly that monthly paycheck stops shaking every time the market sneezes. Real quick, if you're anywhere near retirement, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe. This channel is about making the next 20 years of your money a lot less stressful, and I'd hate for you to miss it. Now, here's my promise. I'm going to walk you through the 7 income sources smart retirees combine to build a $10,000 a month retirement paycheck. And a couple of these might sting a little, because a lot of folks spend 30 years building a nest egg, and almost no time asking how that nest egg is actually going to pay them every single month. Quick, honest note before we go. This is not personal financial advice, but it should help you ask better questions before you make decisions you can't undo. Let's start the countdown at number 7. And this one sounds boring, but stick with me, because boring is exactly the point. Number 7 is your cash bucket. Your CD ladder. High-yield savings, treasury bills, money market funds, the safe, sleepy stuff. Now, this is not the block that makes you rich. This is the block that keeps you from doing something stupid at the worst possible moment. Here's what nobody tells you. The real danger early in retirement isn't a crash. It's being forced to sell your investments while they're down just to pay your electric bill. That's called sequence of returns risk, and it has quietly wrecked more retirements than any bad stock pick ever did. Take Bob, a retired pharmacist I know. Bob hates selling when the market's down, physically hates it. So Bob keeps a war chest. Let's say he needs about $2,000 a month from his investments to fill his gap. If he sets aside 24 months of that, that's roughly $48,000 sitting in safe, boring cash. Now when the market drops 25%, Bob doesn't panic. He just spends from the bucket and lets his investments recover. The warning? Don't overdo it. Too much cash and inflation slowly eats your purchasing power year after year. This is a cushion, not a mattress to bury everything in. The punchline? Cash is boring. But you know what's even more boring? Selling stocks in a crash because you forgot to keep a war chest. Number 6, dividends and interest income. And this is where people get tripped up, because they hear dividends and think free money. It is not free money. But here's the honest version. Dividend ETFs, bond interest, money market yields, CDs, treasury interest, these little streams aren't magic. What they do is quietly lower the amount you have to sell from your portfolio every year. And that matters more than people realize. Say you've got $750 a month coming in from dividends and interest. That alone won't make anybody rich, right? But that's $9,000 a year you do not have to pull out of your investments. 9 grand of pressure just lifted off the stack. Now the warning, and please hear me on this. Do not chase yield. When you see something paying a sky-high dividend, that high yield is very often the market screaming that something's risky. Chasing the biggest number is how people lose the principal that was paying them in the first place. The punchline? A small income stream doesn't need to do everything. It just needs to take a little weight off the stack. Number 5, rental income. And this one's interesting because a paid-off rental property can act almost like a private pension. Almost. There's a catch, and we'll get to it. Here's why people love rental income. It shows up monthly, and it's familiar. You can see the house. You can touch it. It feels real in a way a brokerage statement never does. And for a lot of retirees trying to pull less from their 401k, IRA, and brokerage accounts, that monthly check is gold. Let me introduce you to Angela. Angela owns one rental property, and she came into retirement thinking, great, passive income. Her place nets her about $2,000 a month after expenses. $2,000 a month, that's 20% of a $10,000 goal, covered by one house. Not bad at all. But here's what Angela learned the hard way. That word passive is doing a lot of lifting. Because rental income is only $2,000 a month after the repairs, the vacancies, the property taxes, the insurance, and the management. The month her roof started leaking and a tenant moved out at the same time, that income wasn't so passive anymore. The punchline? A rental can be a pension with a roof leak. Number 4. Annuity income. And I know, the second some people hear annuity, they reach for the remote. Stay with me, because this one's misunderstood. Smart retirees who buy annuities usually aren't trying to beat the market. They're trying to stop checking the market every single morning. There's a type called a SPIA, a single premium immediate annuity, and the idea is simple. You hand over a portion of your savings, and an insurance company pays you a fixed income for life. Pension-like income for people who never got a pension. Think about Sandra for a second. Sandra's recently widowed, and what keeps her up at night isn't beating the S&P, it's the fear of running out. For someone like her, taking a slice of savings to create a guaranteed monthly income floor can buy something a stock chart can't. Peace. The rest of her money stays invested for growth. Now the warning, and this is a big one. Do not let anyone oversell you on these. Annuities come with real trade-offs. Your money gets locked up, so liquidity matters. Inflation can eat a fixed payment over time. Fees vary wildly, and you're trusting the strength of the insurance company for decades. Read the contract, then read it again. The punchline? You're not buying excitement. You're buying fewer 2 a.m. retirement panic calculations. And hey, if these examples are making you think differently about your own money, do me a favor and drop a comment telling me which of these 7 you're counting on most. And tap that like button, it genuinely helps the channel reach other folks your age trying to figure this out. Part 4. Number 3. Portfolio Withdrawals. Plus number 2. Pensions. Number 3. Portfolio Withdrawals. This is the big one everybody fixates on. The IRA, the 401k, the Roth, the taxable brokerage account. The portfolio is powerful, but it's also fragile if you ask it to carry the entire retirement on its back. And this is where the math and real life start arguing. Because here's the question that flooded my comments. Did the calculation include taxes? Most of the time, it didn't. Here's what nobody tells you. A $10,000 a month lifestyle is not always a $10,000 withdrawal. If you're pulling from a pre-tax account like a traditional 401k or IRA, Uncle Sam wants his cut on the way out. So, to actually spend 10 grand, you might have to withdraw more than 10 grand. The account type changes everything. Think about it. $1 from your Roth, already taxed, comes out clean. $1 from your brokerage, you might only owe tax on the gains. $1 from your traditional IRA, that's fully taxable income. Same dollar on the statement, 3 completely different amounts in your pocket. So let's say after all your guaranteed income, you've got a $3,000 a month gap to fill from investments. If that's coming from a pre-tax account, you may need to pull noticeably more than $3,000 to net $3,000 after taxes. That gap is bigger than it looks. The punchline? A $10,000 lifestyle is not always a $10,000 withdrawal. Number 2. Pensions. And this one's been ignored in too many videos, so let's give it the respect it deserves. Because a pension changes the retirement game faster than almost anything else you own. Military pensions, teacher pensions, state and federal pensions, old employer pensions. If you've got one, you're holding something incredibly valuable. Here's why. Say you've got a pension paying $3,000 a month. That's $36,000 a year your portfolio does not have to produce. 36 grand of pressure? Gone. Meet Professor Pat. Pat's got a solid teacher's pension and sleeps great because of it. But Pat worries about two things, and you should too. First, does your pension have a COLA, a cost of living adjustment? Some rise with inflation, some are frozen flat for life, and over 20 years, that difference is enormous. Second, survivor benefits. This is the one that breaks my heart in the comments. Remember Sandra, recently widowed? Here's what hits hard. When one spouse passes, the household often loses one Social Security check entirely, and depending on how the pension was set up, that pension income can drop or even stop. The bills don't shrink by half, but sometimes the income does. If you're married, you need to know exactly what your survivor election says before you ever need it. The punchline? A pension isn't just income. It's pressure removed from every other account you own. Part 5. Number 1. Social Security. Plus, the gap, plus, close and final CT. As number 1, Social Security. And stick with me here, because this is the block that changes the whole stack. Now, Social Security is not going to make most people rich. As of January 2026, the average monthly retirement benefit is right around $2,071, and beneficiaries got a 2.8% cost of living bump for 2026. So no, one check isn't 10 grand, but that's not its job. Its job is to be the foundation, the bottom block everything else stacks on top of. Here's the reframe smart retirees make. A couple, both collecting, might bring in something like $4,500 a month combined. Stop and think about what that means. They don't need to manufacture $10,000 a month from investments. They need to fill the gap, the remaining $5,500. That's a completely different, far less terrifying problem. Now, 2 quick honest notes. Some of your benefit can be taxable, depending on your total income. That surprises people every year. And when you claim, matters a lot. And to those of you convinced it'll all disappear, I hear you, and I'm not here to argue. I'll just say, build your plan so Social Security is a strong floor, not your only floor. The punchline? Smart retirees don't ask, will Social Security make me rich? They ask, how much of my floor does it cover? So now the real secret, the one framework that ties all 7 blocks together. Write this down. Your monthly goal, minus your reliable income, equals the gap your flexible assets have to cover. Watch how this works. Goal, $10,000 a month. Social Security, $4,500. Pension, $2,000. Rental, dividends, and interest together, $1,500. Add up your reliable income, that's $8,000, which means your portfolio only has to produce a $2,000 gap. $2,000, not $10,000. That right there is why 2 retirees with the exact same portfolio can have completely different stress levels. One is squeezing everything from investments, the other built a stack. But before you celebrate, remember everything we covered. That gap has to be calculated after taxes, after Medicare costs. And speaking of Medicare, budget for it. The standard Part B premium for 2026 is $202.90 a month, with a $283 deductible. And the gap depends on which account you're pulling from. The number on your statement is not the number in your pocket. So here's where we land. Smart retirees do not build retirement around one magic number. They build a paycheck stack. And look, nobody gets every single piece perfect. I'm not pretending this is easy, but it sure beats asking one account to carry your entire retirement. So let me ask you, and I really do read these. Which income source are you counting on the most? Social Security? A pension? Your portfolio? Rental income? Dividends? An annuity? Or something else? Drop it in the comments. And if this helped you think about retirement income differently, hit that like button and subscribe. It's the easiest way to keep this channel going. And don't go anywhere yet. I've got another video right here on the screen that breaks down exactly how to fill that gap without handing half of it back in taxes. Go ahead and click it. I'll see you over there.